Hello, everyone. My name is Christian Eschbach, and welcome to another one of my album reviews. Hey, everyone. I was going through trying to figure out what Alice Cooper album I was going to do here because I'm trying to get the schedule back going again. So here we're on album review 259, and my little 1939, 59, 79, 99. Okay, so that's back in effect. And with that being back in effect, we are at 459. Well, we're going to talk about some Alice Cooper. And we're going to talk about Alice Cooper Easy Action. Now, when I was going back through my old ones, I was trying to figure out which one to do here. And I noticed that the last two Alice Cooper album reviews I did, which were not part of the sequencing, I did out of order. And it was because the Alice Cooper Road album came out. It was brand new. And I got my hands on the reissue of Killer. So I wanted to cover that. But before that, I had done Pretties for You. And now I got to follow up with Easy Action. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think that this album is highly overlooked in the Alice Cooper early years. When it comes to playing original band stuff, the only song I truly would like to have heard that was on the Pretties for You album was Levity Ball. It's the only song to this day from the Zappa era, because that's what Pretties for You and Easy Action is, Zappa era. It's the only song I truly, totally would love to hear him do live on stage. However, there are songs on here that would be great to hear live on stage. Other than, well, we'll get into it. Okay. Now, I also want to put out there that out of the two Zappa era, this is actually my favorite. I listen to this one infinitely more than I listen to Pretties for You. I dig this album actually quite a bit more than Pretties for You. And a lot of that comes down to a good chunk of Pretties for You can be found on the Live at the Whiskey A Go-Go album. And I actually really like the Live at the Whiskey A Go-Go album. I like the production on it. I like the sound on it, the mix, everything on it. I think it's really cherry and choice. And it's also got the best version of Levity Ball ever that I have heard. There's never been a better version than that one. This, on the other hand, kind of gets overlooked and ignored. And from other people, I put this one on because I think this one actually had a lot more arrangements, a lot more musical prowess on it, and was the stuff that they were writing to help fill out a second album because they had enough material for a little over one album when they released Pretties for You. Okay, allow me to explain. All right, so we got, and I'm going to do this song by song. So we got Mr. and Misdemeanor. Great way to open out the album. I really like the wordplay on here. Pretties for You has some good wordplay on it in some of the songs. Other songs, the wordplay is kind of just lyrics, like they're nothing overly special. They're guys in high school, guys first starting a band writing lyrics. Some of them work, some of them are just a joke, and some of them, they're inside stories that's why the band doesn't keep going with them, because that part of their lives is done. They don't want to continue with that part of their life. Mr. and Misdemeanor holds up and has a great 60s vibe to it that is really worth checking out and listening to and getting into. If you're into the Beatles, if you're into the Beach Boys, if you're into the Stones, if you are into like all that kind of era of 60s rock, the Yardbirds, stuff like that, Mr. and Misdemeanor is the type of stuff that you would be interested in. After that, you get into Shoe Salesman. Shoe Salesman's one of those songs that I would honestly kind of like to see Alice bring out now, because it could still work within a live set and a lot of the old school fans would just lose their shit. The downside is they would have to definitely restructure the song, possibly drop it, change the key or something like that, because it is a little bit high in the range. But a really beautiful song, so well written. So well written. One thing about this album is this album has a lot of piano in it. And that's Michael Bruce. Michael Bruce either played rhythm guitar or piano. And there is some other piano on here. I don't remember the name of the other pianist that was on here. I'm sorry, I'm not going to go. Oh, no, my apologies. According to this, now I do know Michael Bruce played piano within the band, but according to this, the piano was all done. The piano on Shoe Salesman specifically was done by David Briggs. That's how it's noted on the back here. And the piano work is beautiful. It really should be done. Like, it would be great on a live show again. Just as a cute little filler section, even. Like, after the execution or something like that, something just to kind of bring, when Alice brings it back out or something. I think it could work. Still No Air. I really kind of dig on this one when the album is playing, but it's not a song that I've tried putting on in mixtapes in the past and stuff like that. It's a song that doesn't work for me on mixtapes, but I really dig it when the album's playing. It's a choice cut. One of those other ones, it could be used live now, and arguably there's parts of this song that have ended up in other songs along the way where it does kind of get thrown in live and whatnot. Gutter Cats versus the Jets with Street Fight at the end of it, kind of. There's a vibe that's similar. I'm not saying it's the same thing, just similar-ish. Below Your Means. I like it when the album's playing. Return of the Spiders. I like this one a lot more when I was younger and first starting out in a band and playing. I like the rawness, the insane passion behind it and whatnot. As you get older and you become a little more seasoned as a musician, you can still appreciate the rawness and the aggression and whatnot to it, but it was definitely unrefined. It wasn't honed in. The album was produced by David Briggs, and I'm gonna say that under that could have been produced a little bit better. Oh, maybe that's a reproduce when because it says for live productions. So I don't. It's hard to say with this old stuff. I'm gonna say that Briggs is the one that produced it since he's the one that plays piano on the album. I think that it was honed in, but it wasn't honed in right. This is kind of where Zappa came in and kind of helped them tweak it and make it better when he came. Sorry, not Zappa. Bob Ezrin. That's what I meant. When Bob Ezrin came in and tweaked it and kind of gave it that vibe and moved on with it, I think it would have been interesting to hear Bob Ezrin get his hands on these two albums and have the band redo them with Bob Ezrin as well, which kind of did happen. Laughing at Me is a good tune. Excuse me. Laughing at Me is kind of like a follow-up almost to Nobody Likes Me, or maybe even the prequel to Nobody Likes Me. There's such a sadness to it, the easiest way I could describe it is when we think of Robin Williams, the original story we all heard about Robin Williams when he passed away, without adding in all that extra stuff that's come out later about medical diagnoses and stuff like that. Just looking at that, the jester, the clown, the all-encompassing performer, and then you've got when they're alone and they're quiet and they're reflecting, it's like they're all laughing at me. It's not, are they laughing with me? No, they're laughing at me, kind of thing. Not quite apt, but, that's where I'm going with it. The tortured comic. Um, Refrigerator Heaven. Ah, I really dig this song. It's another song where I really kind of wish they'd bring it back. And I would love to have them bring it back in a live set as an intro to Cold Ethel. You know, I think it would be the perfect intro to ride into Cold Ethel on a stage show. And it's what 217 on here. So you play it live, you tweak it a little bit, modernize it a little bit so it doesn't sound quite as raw. Give it a little more polish, maybe a little pizzazz, not a lot, just a little. And put it on right before Cold Ethel. I think it would be very cherry. Beautiful Flyaway. Okay, so this is one that will never be played live by Alice Cooper unless the Alice Cooper group does it and Michael Bruce is there to play it live, because this one's all Michael Bruce. The vocals is Michael Bruce, the piano is Michael Bruce, everything's Michael Bruce. It's also one of my absolute favorite songs off this one. I am a sucker for a good piano tune. As you notice, I mentioned Shoe Salesman earlier, but not all piano tunes are good piano tunes. I mean, like and Beautiful Flyaway really fits what I like for a good piano tune, and it's definitely one of those ones where if I were an accomplished pianist, I would be playing it live. I'd play it live in a bar all the time, no problem, no ifs, ands, or buts. Um, go into any bar that's got the upright, I'd just kind of play it. No, yeah, I'd learn it just for that reason. All right, after Beautiful Flyaway, we go to Lay Down and Die Goodbye. Okay, so the reason why I mentioned earlier that they couldn't put all the songs on Pretties for You is because Lay Down and Die Goodbye, clocking at 7 minutes and 30 seconds, would have been a little bit long, but is a song that has been around since pretty early on because it is part of the Live at the Whiskey set. If you pick up the Nobody Likes Me album, it's also called Science Fiction. It's also called I can't even think of everything else that it goes by. It's got about a million different. Freakout's another one on there. It's called the AC Instrumental and Written Home to Mother. It's kind of split. Well, that's what that is on here, is Lay Down and Die Goodbye. And great artistic piece of music. It really is. It's a great artistic. That's the one thing about the 70s and putting albums together and stuff like that in the 70s. Bands were willing to experiment and do stuff. And that was one of the things I think really killed albums is, singles are great. You release the singles, but albums, there wasn't enough coolness, enough experimentation. It was filler. It's like, oh, yeah, I wrote these lyrics and I got this riff. Let's throw them on this album. But no actual thought put into it. And I see this from personal experience. I've written stuff where it's just like I'm writing for the sake of writing. And sometimes you got to do that, man. Sometimes you got to write for the sake of writing. But sometimes you got to take that stuff and just kind of throw it to the side and say, no. And I would rather hear a song like Lay Down and Die Goodbye, which has real artistic usefulness and merit and all that other wonderful stuff, than, let's see, who do I have in front of me here? Oh, I don't have anybody else in front of me at the moment that would be an accurate comparison. All right, not a fair comparison because it's a more modern album, but this is even using a more modern album. Okay, most people know how I feel about this album, and I've covered and reviewed this album, and this is the Evanescence album Fallen. And The reason I don't like this album is almost the entire album sounds the same, and Amy's voice really just, I find it boring after a while. I really find it boring because she whines like it's. I mean, don't get me wrong, she's got a good voice, but that's all she is. She's fucking a little whiny, grow the fuck up goth girl, you know, like oh. And I'm not saying all goth girls are like that, but let me tell you, man, this crap here, and I'm not saying this, if you enjoy this album, nothing against you, okay? I understand why you like it. For me, it was horribly overplayed in my house. I just can't, no. And I hate going karaoke. I hate how many people try and fucking sing her at karaoke. And a lot of people do it well, but it's just like, stop it. Stop it. Go find other people to sing. I don't want to hear, Going Under or any of these other crap. Fucking. Anyways, what I'm trying to get at here, I'd rather have experimental songs like Lay Down and Die Goodbye, okay, which is like 7.5 minutes of insanity that I would never put on a mixtape or anything like that, then lay through Haunted, Tourniquet, and Imaginary. Because they're there. And yeah, I realized that they were singles. I realized that there's a lot of people that love those songs, but they're just. If the music scene wasn't as bland as it was at the time that this came out, those songs would not have done as well as they did. I will stand by that. Music scene was not that big. It was not doing so great at that time when they came out. They came out at the right time, had the right sound. That's what saved them, and that's what helped spawn a bunch of others that came afterwards, which is great that way. But yeah. So okay, way off topic. Sorry. The whole way around, this album, out of the first two Alice Cooper albums, I honestly prefer this one better. I think it is the more musically literate album and the less musical fuckery album. I think Pretty's for You is more of a fuckery album. There are some great musical gems on there. I mean, Levity Ball is a prime example of it. But even Levity Ball, there is an early raw primalness to it that when they did get in the studio and tried to do a version of it in the studio, I've got the studio version on the box set, and it's just no. There was something about when they played it live that was magical. And this one here too, same thing. There's something about these songs that just the arrangements on them and the production on them and whatnot, it works out. It sounds really magical to me. But those are my thoughts. Those are my views. Those are my opinions. Let me know what you think, folks. That's what the comment section's for down below. There's also a like button, subscribe button, a bell for notifications. If you could please help those, that helps me out, helps you out. While you're on your way down to the comments, there are links to the TWA, Trampoline Wrestling Association, the Howling Odyssey, and oh my god, my Patreon. Folks, be careful what you do before you record reviews. And then, after you've gone and clicked on all those and whatnot, peace, love, take care.